What's up, everybody? It's DFS Jimmy here, bringing you the FanshareSports.com early week course breakdown. This week, we are talking about the FedEx Saint Jude Classic, played at TPC Sawgrass in Memphis, Tennessee. Before we get into that, though, guys, I want to tell you, make sure you get over to FanshareSports.com, make you an account. It's free. They've got a ton of resources over there when it comes to ownership, when it comes to starts, calls, sit calls. They listen to every podcast. They read every article. They get the sentiment rankings. They put all that together, and they give you a unique industry look at who's going to be chalk, who's not, and how you should make your lineups and how you should structure those lineups based on where the ownership falls. They do a great job over there. Again, if you haven't, make sure you get over there and check them out at fansharesports.com. Now, let's get into the course preview. TPC Southwind, par 71, boring golf course, ladies and gentlemen. This is annually, it's a par fest. It's a tough golf course, so it just sort of makes for boring scoring conditions. That said, it does make for exciting conditions down the stretch on Sundays, as it tends to be a tight golf tournament. So what isn't like a high DraftKings scoring event does tend to be a fairly good real life golf tournament, especially the week before major kind of gets everybody hyped up. But TPC Southwind, it's a Bermuda course. Short, I say it's a short course. It's kind of long for a par 70, but on the shorter end of the spectrum for the tour. And like I said, it's a par type of golf course. The winning score here has been between like 8 under and 12 under for the most part. Tends to average like 2 to 4 under par a day. If you can get 2 to 3 under par a day, 2 to 4 under par a day, all 4 days, and bring a consistent par, slightly better than par golf game, you're going to be in contention around TPC Sawgrass. The scores don't tend to get out of control. It tends to be a pretty hot place to play as well. That tends to keep the course kind of crispy, kind of bouncy, running pretty quick. I believe they have zoysia grass in the fairways. Bermuda is on the greens. This is the Daniel Berger Open. For those that don't know, he's won the back-to-back here. And that says a lot about the type of game that you need to compete around here. You need to be a par 4 scorer, and you need to be able to make par and kind of grind it out. That's kind of Daniel Berger's game in my mind, and it shows at this golf course. The other thing about this golf course, before we get too far into it, is it tends to be the type of event that you need a little bit of course history at. The guys that have played well here in the past tend to play well here, and you do need a little experience around here. I don't think experience maybe is the right word, but it's a course fit type of course. Bombers can do okay here, and there are some bombers that will come into play for sure. This week, Phil Mickelson, for example, comes into play. He does not typically fit this course, but plays exceptionally well here year in and year out. But for the rest of the field that aren't those bomber exceptions, it's one of those courses that you need to have what I call like a nice and tidy game. You need to kind of have a little bit of everything. You don't have to do anything exceptionally well. You don't have to have great long irons. You don't have to have great wedges. The 150 to 175 is kind of your approach range here, so it's sort of your mid-iron game that all the pros have. You don't have to be long, but you do have to hit the fairway. There are some dog legs, but it's one of those sort of all-around golf courses that nothing really sticks out in the games of the guys that tend to play well here annually. And when you kind of run down the list of guys that play well here annually, you think of like a Billy Horschel, Daniel Berger I just mentioned. You think of like a Ben Crane, even, just guys that have this tidy type of game that can get a hot putter. Brian Gay has played well here before. Again, nothing flashy about any of these games, just good, consistent all-around golf games. I would favor course history a little more here this week than maybe normal, because, again, I think guys that have played well here in the past tend to continue to play well here, and I think a lot of that has to do with what I'm about to talk about, and that is the water. There's a lot of water around TPC Southwind. So while you're not going to see a ton of scoring, you could see like anti-scoring conditions here in some cases. Guys will be making some bogeys around Southwind this week and some doubles for sure. But water comes into play on like 10 holes, I think. Definitely a factor here this week. You do need to, like I said, you need to have that nice tidy game. You need to be able to get around the water, make your pars. If you're making pars on this golf course, you're going to find yourself in a good spot come the weekend. You just need to put together a couple of good rounds to find yourself, kind of in the mix here. So just not blowing up is kind of crucial on these long par fours. As you see, the par fours that are 450 yards or more, they play a full stroke over par per round. So again, one of those nice tidy games is what I look for around here. Par 4 scoring, as I just mentioned, crucial. Green in regulation is crucial. They are small greens here at TPC compared to maybe what you're used to seeing on the rest of the tour. Par 5 scoring, I think maybe people will overweight par 5 scoring this week. It is important, absolutely, as you see when you get over to the 16th hole here. And if literally over 50% is making an eagle or a birdie of the field on this hole. If you're not scoring on this hole, you're dropping a shot to the half of the field. Similar story when you get over to the third hole. Not quite as drastic, but I'm not going to go crazy here. These are both pretty easy par 5s. They're reachable by nearly everybody in the field. Guys should be scoring on them. And this is not where you're going to win the golf tournament. And for the most part, it's probably not where you're going to lose it either. It is on the par 4s. So I'm going to focus most of my attention on the par 4s this week. I will wait and sprinkle in some par 5 scoring. But for the most part, I expect most of the field that's in contention to be scoring on the par 5s. So I'm going to look to differentiate on the par 4s. Maybe even throw a sprinkle of short par 3. But I'll probably try and capture that in the 150 to 175 iron range with some of my key stats. But guys, I think that's going to do it for the breakdown of TPC Southwind. Again, be looking for sort of an all-around game. Don't fade your bombers. There's no reason to fade the bombers here. They can get aggressive. They can score on several holes, and I think it kind of shows with a couple of the guys. Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson immediately come to mind here for this golf course. Two guys that are longer than average on tour, tend to spray it maybe a little more than most, but have had a lot of success at this golf course. So there is room for the bombers to compete, but otherwise just look for those guys that have a good grinder game and can find their way to par more often than not. Best of luck this week, guys, and we will see everybody next week for the U.S. Open. Shinnecock, baby. Good luck.